Hey everyone, welcome back. I see you have returned to drink from the well of magic finding. Indeed, it is a good time to be a magic find enthusiast. If you are one such enthusiast, you know what? I think I'll plug my channel. You should subscribe to this channel because this is exactly the kind of content I am known for. This is exactly what you're going to see coming out of me in the following few weeks. This is a very exciting time. Much more exciting than most leagues, and I have an entire community that is not just anticipating but expecting me to produce all kinds of content around magic finding, because we are looking at a brand new emerging meta never before seen with the changes that came this league, particularly with the keystone you see on the screen before you. I'm going to tell you right out the gate, this is very reminiscent of Calandra League. A lot of people are beginning to hear the rumors. A lot of people don't know what they don't know. They think that whatever is going on is most certainly reserved just for highly coordinated, mega juicing group play. Well, it does work for that group play. I have personally talked to some people who are doing it. But no, it is not simply reserved for them. It can be managed in relatively good fashion, solo. Sure, it'll take strong character and very well-balanced character to do so, but that's what I mean when I mean it's very reminiscent of Calandra League. If you recall, if you were around back then, God Touch Farming was also something that was, at one time, thought to be reserved only for group play. Lo and behold, I came out with all kinds of content to prove that it could be done solo, and I can already tell you, from having done just one test run of 32 maps yesterday on Twitch, that things are just going to play out almost exactly the same way they did in Calandra League. And that's why you should subscribe, because you're going to see it from me probably first. And that's exciting, I think. So a lot of us in our community, we are going to be making much more currency than usual. And we got a whole Discord where we talk about what we're doing, and we, share all the information we have, all the intel we have. Of course, I am very much in the know with other members of the Magic Find community, or even the people who write the wiki page itself, including the prohibited library, for which I am going to present some numbers on the theoretical side about what we're looking at here and why you may want to be in the know for what's going on, in case you would like to give this a shot, this kind of farming style a shot. On that note, I will also feature a map at the end to give you some sense of, beyond the theoretical, of how people are actually managing this and doing this. So what we're talking about today is called ghost busting, and primarily that features players taking this keystone, Speaker of the Dead, which possesses players for 20 seconds instead of possessing the rare or unique monsters. And then the players, without killing anything or not killing much, will then run around the map and try to touch monsters, normal and magic monsters. They get not an unlimited counter, only up to 50 monsters can be touched per spirit. You can put a lot of spirits on the map, and yes, they can stack up together. You can get possessed by multiple spirits at once, and then you'll have, not 50, but 100 or 150 or 200 monsters you can touch in that 20-second window. It works perfectly fine that way. And then a lot of players are specifically trying to target monsters that spawn out of strongbox in conjunction with the enraged 500% increased item quantity enraged sextant. And we already have some decent data and some numbers on this. Again, as I've been talking to a wide number of people and done some testing on my end. So, first off the bat, what are some of the numbers? Well, fortunately, we know we have a better sense of the numbers on the touched buff rather than the possessed buff. The possessed buff is wild. It's a huge amount. If you've seen some of the, for example, the rare loot conversions, you may have seen some crazy results sometimes when a monster gets, like an essence monster or a beast or something like that, gets possessed by a ghost, and suddenly your entire screen is full of multiple scarabs, or you drop like 5 or 6 divine orbs off of one monster. Seen some really wild results like that. That's because it's cranking up the quantity and rarity out the wazoo in an almost untestable fashion. That's for possessed rares and uniques. Now, for touched monsters, it's much easier to test. We do not have really solid numbers on this, but it is believed that it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 600, 800 10% increased item quantity put on the monster itself. And just so you're aware, there are as far as I know, three separate buckets of multipliers for increased quantity. There's player quantity, there is area quantity, and then there's monster quantity. For the sake of this video, that's the best way to understand it. Player quantity is the gear you wear. Area quantity is put on the map and gained further through altars, 8-mod corrupted maps, wandering paths, the way to crank that up. And then monster quantity is normally not something you can control very well. Most of the monsters, their internal quantity and rarity multipliers were smashed majorly back in Calandra League. A lot of League mechanics were nerfed effectively. Certain outliers still seem to be decent, such as Legion, Beast, Abyss, I suppose. But the result was everyone went back to enraged strongbox farming because that just put a straight up 500% multiplier on the monsters. Only quantity. And that's very important to keep in mind. So that number presumably is additive with the ghost multiplier. So you basically going from 500% increased quantity to, if you touch monsters that you spawned out of an enraged strongbox, they go up towards somewhere around 1200 or 1300% increased quantity. Not like 6 or 8 times more loot, but rather additive. Where the real, well, I should say, so that has some nice ramifications on divination card farming. Basically, it's going to double the loot, effectively, at least double the loot that you're getting out of there. But it has real special ramifications when it comes to rarity and unique monsters, because the touch buff also puts a rarity multiplier on the monster somewhere in the realm of 300-400% increased rarity. And this is actually really huge because normal monsters and even magic monsters with only like 1 modifier do not have a high innate rarity multiplier. Most of the monsters that spawn out of any given strongbox are normal or magic, so it's actually quite easy to run around and touch those monsters as you spawn them. And because the quantity multipliers on all ends are cranked up so high, any adjustment to the rarity in an upward fashion has huge outcomes for the amount of uniques you drop in. This is why groups like Snap and MP suddenly saw way more Mage Bloods and Headhunters and Tier 0 uniques than they have in previous leagues, or at least I believe so. So that's to give you some sense of the numbers. So again, player quantity and rarity, area quantity rarity, monster quantity and rarity. This keystone, the whole touched buff ghost busting thing, has everything to do with monster quantity and rarity, which is really huge post nerf, flat nerfs in Calandra League, when everything was smashed down and suddenly enraged strong boxes were once again the best way to magic find. And you know the monsters that come out of those strong boxes start at basically 0 on that end. So that hopefully can inform you to get some sense of how all of this works. Now I'm going to show you, at least in practice, what this looks like a little bit. Now there's a few different ways to do this. The highly coordinated groups are having a very, very tanky player go through and try to grab all the ghosts first, and then everybody zones in, the player goes and grabs all the ghosts and touches as many monsters as they possibly can, and then they start the run. For solo, that's not really how it goes. Now I've heard maybe there's a way you can like have 2 different characters, log out, log back in. It's not really something I want to mess with. I personally would be looking for ways to integrate it all seamlessly into one well-balanced Magic Find character. I have a Magic Find character here. We'll make some videos on this guy at some point here, but I have a Tier 2 Dunes, putting a Torment and an Ambush Scarab in here to replicate some sense of what this might look like. Now, of course, I'm not really magic finding here. I don't have any sextant. I don't have the enraged strongbox, and I wouldn't run this on a Tier 2. I would run it on a Tier 14 plus, so I could get altars that help improve. Okay, but for the sake of making a video and trying to maintain my focus on everything, now I see some touched monsters here, so that means there is a ghost nearby. Okay, now it possesses me. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually trying not to touch too much stuff, and I hope to run into a strongbox. But here's another ghost. Okay, I'm touched again, right? Okay, I try to kill everything, and then I go around and I touch, and you can see all these monsters are touched there, right? And so now when I kill them, they are basically primed to just drop the most loot out of really any monster in the game. at this point as far as what you can achieve in a map. Okay, I actually killed that ghost by accident because I didn't turn off my DPS properly. And it's a lot harder, you know, whenever you're doing a tier 2 than a tier 16. But certain classes, certain specs may have a harder time with this. I know some people are afraid that they're just going to one-shot stuff. I don't think off-screening ghosts is too much of a thing. If you have an actual Magic Find character, you're not going to have the strongest character in the game already. Oh, I don't have a buff over me. Well, anyway, it would look, you know, something like that. You saw that actually Rampage just killed everything there. I think in this particular league, we're actually not going to want to have Rampage embedded in there because we lose control of some of our DPS. For the time being, I will continue wearing Bisco's leash, but eventually I'll have a Mage Blood, and, you know, I think I'll just take Rampage out. The buff that you see over my head is actually Fairgrave's Tricorn. I'm no longer possessed. It's a different buff entirely. But actually, in a normal map, I'd probably rush the boss first and then come back and clear. And people will even do this on Dunes in a real way with real sextants and stuff because it drops the Fortunate card, a brand new card that gives you, I think, 2 Divines for a stack of 12 cards. Not a bad deal. So that is hopefully gives you some sense of how people are doing it. Now, you know, I obviously didn't execute that exactly the way I would want to. But at least you got to see for one moment what that looks like. Get possessed by a ghost, clear everything around a strongbox. You're primed to touch a whole bunch of monsters. Open the strongbox. You're going to need to have phasing, perhaps permanent phasing through Watcher's Eye or be a raider. Or just be really good at, you know, killing monsters, then getting phasing the hard way, and then using that 3-second window to run through stuff. And then probably try to not kill those monsters. Continue clearing the map to unlock more altars. And then at some point come back and kill them when you basically have all the altars, all the Magic Find, you know, everything going through there. So that might be a lot to take in. It may sound quite a bit convoluted, may sound quite complex, but I think it's like anything else, you know, added challenge, added reward. If the reward is good enough, it may justify the challenge. It is going to require players to have tankier Magic Find characters than normal. It is going to require players to be able to turn off their DPS at a moment's notice, something which, you know, Lightning Arrow and Tornado Shot are very capable of doing. Not poison builds, though. And I don't know, we'll see. I bet you, I'd be willing to bet more people than you think are going to pick up on this because I think the rewards are going to justify it. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. That is all the theory crafting aside. Let me know if you have any better information, any kind of, you know, better numbers. Those are the numbers I came with. Again, just to reiterate, I think it's the multiplier somewhere around 600, 800% increased quantity and 300, 400% increased item rarity for the touched buff. And, you know, hopefully you can kind of get a sense of what that means when it comes to actual loot dropped. Understanding all the multipliers and how they all work be quite complicated. There's a comment section below. You can ask questions if you want. I know there are going to be some questions on this video, whether about the character, about the farming and everything. Videos are going to be on their way. Anyway, ask questions if you like, and share this brand new meta, emergent meta, and get excited, guys, because I've already got my Magic Find character ready, and I'm going to be farming now. I'm going to be farming a lot of currency. Let's go. See you in the next video.